Hello everyone! In this video, we're gonna reveal the most legendary WWE moments of 1998. In 1998, you had great moments like Austin vs. McMahon and even Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness. All the plans were executed properly as it would go down as one of the best years for WWF in the history of wrestling. Not only that, but it is said to be one of the most entertaining and thrilling years in all of wrestling entertainment. Yet, there was so much more. Be sure to watch the video to the end so you don't miss the moments in between, and also the most legendary moment that tops it all. Number 6. Stone Cold Steve Austin is crucified by The Undertaker. The Attitude Era had the edgiest storylines WWE would ever cast. We have never seen more dark-themed feuds before or since this absolute golden era. The Undertaker would have his darkest gimmick too, as the leader of the Ministry of Darkness. It's only normal that he would have an epic rivalry with the best guy in the business at that time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. On the night of December 7th, the impossible happened. Apparently, Steve Austin was concussed and therefore carried by the Phenom to a huge cross-like symbol. His feet were then tied together while his hands spread and tied too, of course. Once the symbol was raised and shown to everyone, the message was pretty clear. Stone Cold had been crucified by the dead man, Undertaker. It was, of course, a very legendary moment, since the WWE world has never seen something similar ever before. Number 5. Bang 316. One night before Judgment Day, Vince McMahon would fire Steve Austin, who would say no to Vince's plan for next day's main event. The infamous
"Austin, screw you, you're fired.
"You're fired" phrase would be created on that very day. But hey, the most badass wrestler would not just walk away like that, would he? I mean, after all, it was Steve Austin. He would go on to stalk Mr. McMahon for the rest of the show as he was sitting in his wheelchair since his ankle was broken. When he got his chance, he would hunt down Vince and literally kidnap him. What followed afterward was just epic. Austin would start to threaten Vince that he would literally kill him. Yes, quite literally. What was Vince doing? Well, the owner of the company was begging for his life in front of the whole audience, pleading and crying. Austin would pull out a gun and put it to Vince's head, and the whole crowd went crazy. Are we about to witness a murder? That was the question that was going through everyone's mind, and finally, Austin pulled the trigger. The infamous Bang 316 flag would pop out of the gun, and Vince was seen with pee stains in his pants. The man literally peed his pants out of fear. An iconic stunner to end the endless embarrassment Mr. McMahon had faced that day. Definitely one of the best moments the crowd has ever seen in the Attitude Era. Number 4. Austin vs. McMahon? The heated rivalry between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon would reach a new height on April 13th, 1998. Nothing could bring an end to this, but maybe a one-on-one pay-per-view in front of the whole audience. Austin was challenged, and he would never refuse it. However, there was a catch though. Austin would have his hand tied to his back, and he had no problem with it. He agreed as everyone expected him to. Ultimately, the Texas Rattlesnake was fooled, and it was not McMahon but Mick Foley who would go on to face him. Dude Love would make his return and beat Austin. However, the promo they cut, the suspense and thrill that was created, it did the damage. It was a success. Raw would beat Nitro for the first time in 83 weeks, and it would kick off the downfall of WCW. One single promo was enough to grab all the fans to keep track of WWF after that. What a legendary feud it was. There would never be a rivalry as amazing as Austin vs. McMahon. Number 3. Austin and Tyson. When Floyd Mayweather came to give WWE a visit, it was a blockbuster. It was in the headlines everywhere, and WWE would get amazing publicity. A decade later, WWE would bring Mike Tyson, and, well, the effect was even greater this time, with more publicity and even more headlines. the baddest man on the planet would be a part of the main event of the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. It was just really exciting as what was going to unfold. Austin was, however, there to join Tyson in the ring as he was super mad. He was mad because Tyson was in a wrestling ring. He was in Austin's ring. Austin would go on to show both his middle fingers to Tyson, and the officials would have to calm both of them down to prevent the clashing of the two big dogs. Man, you've just got to see how Vince reacted. Trust me, his face is the funniest thing when he's yelling. Regardless, the whole promo was just wholesome. Number 2. Stone Cold wins the WWF Championship. 1995 to 1997 was mainly built around the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. He was the heart of WWE during its struggling period, and despite offers from WCW, he chose to stay loyal. 1998 was finally the time for Shawn, not only to elevate his status, but also promote others. After winning the Royal Rumble in 1998, Steve Austin would go on and main event WrestleMania, in which he would be fighting against HBK for the world title. As usual, since he was the babyface, he had no backup and had to go through the pain of getting rid of obstacles such as DX, but he made it through it all. One thing that is noteworthy has to be the role Mike Tyson played in that match. It was obvious that he was going to help Shawn after what I mentioned earlier in this video. However, it was not the case, and it was Austin who got the helping hand from Mike, which would ultimately seal the victory for the Texas Rattlesnake. The moment you've all been waiting for. The most regretful moment of WWE of all. If you've made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe to be entered in our monthly shout-out giveaway. Then comment below, I sucked. Without further ado, let's get to the most exciting moment. Number 1. DX invades Nitro? This would be the boldest move Mr. McMahon has ever pulled in the year 1998. No one would have ever imagined this because it is just so illegal. April 27th of 1998 would see the limits D-Generation X would cross just for the sake of entertainment. It all happened in Virginia, where both Raw and Nitro were taking place together. WCW and mock them more than YouTubers mock TikTokers nowadays. DX was going to take place in order to get in and invade. However, their wish was not granted since the security guards stopped them from entering. What a letdown. Just imagine, every single television and news channel would be talking about it. It would literally make headlines, and WCW would get a huge publicity boost. They were stupid enough not to let them enter. They did make headlines though, but just with the negativeness that they were scared of DX and WWF. Vince, what a mastermind you are. That man sure knows how to run the business. Be sure to check out the best Austin and Mr. McMahon moments, and I will see you guys in the next video.